Thank you all for attending the session, and it is 12:32. Recording is on, and Nelson is our speaker today. And Nelson is associate professor and deputy chief librarian at Bronx Community College in the CUNY system. And I'm gonna let more people in. And Nelson, do you want to start?
Yes, sure. Thank you so very much. Can you stop the?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you so much. No, it's
Okay.
no, it's great. It's great. Thank you, all attendees, everyone for being here and for supporting the CUNY, our presenters, our attendees, our sponsors as well, which we saw this revolving PowerPoint slide, which Mark created it, which is amazing. Thank you so much. I am Nelson Santana, and I will share a PowerPoint. Let me start my presentation here. Give me just 1 second. I believe people can see my PowerPoint, correct? Okay, awesome. Thank you. So here is, I have to just move this slightly. My presentation, as Mark just stated, the Challenge Librarian's Conundrum, securing grants to fund creative student-centered initiatives. So I will just go over what this presentation will cover, challenges faced by academic librarians and library workers as they work on grants, steps taken to write a successful grant proposal, in this case, two grant proposals, information literacy coupled with creative grant-funded project ideas, and again, we'll share the two types of projects. Now, let me just talk a little bit about myself. I have experience in grant writing. I, for example, have within for those who are not CUNY people, we have this entity called the Professional Staff Congress of CUNY, and we have the PSC CUNY Awards. I have been the recipient of 3 consecutive PSC CUNY Awards, a traditional A, which is $3,500, and 2 traditional B awards, which are, if I'm not mistaken, $6,000 each. And those awards are to conduct research for research needs, for pedagogy, etc., and have been the recipient of those, for example. And I have also ventured outside and have been fortunate to receive funding from entities such as the National Endowment for the Humanities, the American Library Association, and so forth. And I will touch upon 2 of those grants for this particular presentation. I have also been part of other grant writing teams before coming to Bronx Community College, and these were much larger grants. So for me personally, I want to partner with people to actually work on even larger, bigger grants. The learning objectives from this particular presentation are: 1, to demonstrate what successful grant proposals entail; 2, develop a list of funding sources available to librarians and library workers. I will share a list or name a few of the entities or organizations that provide funding. And 3, to understand what type of initiatives can be established at one's very own library. As I mentioned, I work within the City University of New York, CUNY, more specifically at Bronx Community College, which is a 2-year institution. Now, the grant writing process, what does this entail? Brainstorming of ideas or projects. Now, there have been multiple presentations during the LACUNY Institute 2024 conference about artificial intelligence or AI. And that is actually a tool that people can use, but I know there's some people who are afraid of it, so I'm not going to delve too much into it. I do not want to freak anyone out. But just like AI, people can go into Google, for example, and type, what type of funds can I look for or bring to my library? And you can look for projects that have existed elsewhere. For instance, in my case, when I see a grant proposal, I always try to see if it aligns with the institutional goals, if there is perhaps a need that we can fill within the library. And yes, that has been the case with the 2 proposals with the 2 projects that I will discuss. And so that is part of the brainstorming process, speaking with your colleagues, looking at what programs have been perhaps implemented at other institutions. And to be quite honest, there are projects that are not always a success, quote unquote, but we can learn even from those projects. Well, why was this project not successful? Why did the implementation fail? We can learn as much from quote unquote a failure, or if you don't like that F word, we can learn more from and see it more as an opportunity for us to perhaps work on something. So we can always learn from different types of projects. But yes, brainstorming ideas, speaking with your colleagues works wonders. Now, part of this process is also searching for funding sources, and there are many, many, many resources out there. I am not representing the American Library Association or the National Endowments for the Humanities, but I have included the logos because there are the two grants that I will discuss were thanks to funding provided by those two agencies, either provided directly or they served as a conduit of sorts. So there are different types of grants available at the federal, state, private foundations. There are many resources out there. Of course, there's the American Library Association, which is the association for people within our profession, right? The National Endowment for the Humanities, NEH. There's the website grants.gov where these are government funded projects, and there are many grants that are available there. I have actually submitted grants. There are grants, for example, for the Library of Congress, and you need to submit it through this. And it's a very cumbersome, it's a tedious process, and you need to follow the rules. Within CUNY, we have the Research Foundation of CUNY. And they have fantastic people there. And I believe that each individual CUNY college has its own grants office. I know that the colleges that I have worked at, they do have their own grants office, and those people are amazing. We also have the Pivot database, and there are many, 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 many databases out there. Now, writing a winning proposal is a challenge. I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. It is tough. There are many key components to a successful proposal, and some of these key components include making sure you adhere to the guidelines. So, for example, if you're supposed to type in Times New Roman size 12, please do not submit a proposal in Arial or size 10. There are times when automatically such proposal is already eliminated. It might be the best proposal. However, if something as tiny as not following specific, like for example, you cannot indent here, or you submit a proposal that is double spaced, but you're supposed to submit a single space, you could lose. Your proposal might get rejected or not be accepted. And I speak as someone who not only has written proposals and submitted proposal, but also someone who has reviewed for proposals for grants as well as for fellowships and scholarships, for example. Their budgeting and timeline considerations. Do you have the actual time to finish this proposal? Will the person reading the proposal, do they believe that you will be able to complete this project in time if you receive the funding? Do you have the necessary training to carry out this project? For example, if you're going to, as I did, if you're going to purchase a professional Netflix approved camera or a 360-degree camera, do you have the skills to actually learn, or do you have someone who can manage this equipment and the software that comes along with it? These are important questions to consider. In our case, again, we are mostly librarians here, or working in information literacy environment. You can actually couple some of your skill set as a librarian, as an information professional, as an archivist, and create a creative project, perhaps that will draw the attention of the students and the campus community. Again, specifically the two projects or proposals that I submitted grants to were the American Library Association COVID Library Relief Fund, which was for $20,000, and the American Rescue Plan, which was $10,000. And both had the involvement of the American Library Association, and the National Endowment for the Humanities was actually part of the ALA COVID Library Relief Fund. So that particular grant was funded through the United States Congress that made the funds available, and ALA was responsible with managing those funds. And the American Rescue Plan, my understanding is that when those funds came from a private donor. Excuse me, I apologize. The American Rescue Plan was through the U.S. Congress, and the COVID Library Relief Fund came through a private donor. And here's just an overview of the ALA American Rescue Plan Humanities Grants for Libraries. That's the full name of that program. It consisted of $2 million in funding from NEH through the American Rescue Plan Act, right, signed, introduced by Congress. Up to 200 grants were provided to people in the form of $10,000. And this was mostly to help people, obviously individuals, but funding for libraries who suffered greatly from the COVID pandemic. It was open to all types of libraries located in the U.S. and U.S. territories. We are, again, an academic library, a two-year institution. And there was actually another CUNY school that received the funding, I believe at Gutman, if I recall correctly. Again, needed to demonstrate pandemic impact on the humanities and the type of efforts that we had. And we needed to appoint a director, attend orientations, and submit reports regarding the outcome. The ALA COVID Library Relief Fund, an overview of this one here is $1.55 million, right? Again, similar libraries impacted by the pandemic itself. This one was for $20,000 to reestablish, sustain, amplify services. Again, open to different types of libraries. And yeah, needed to show significant pandemic-related budget cuts and the impact. Now, in the proposals that we submitted, I was the lead PI in both, co-PI in one. Actually, I've partnered with a colleague, and we've worked on, the BCC Library has received 3 consecutive grants from the American Library Association. And this one is not included here because I was not the co-PI or lead PI in it, but we just recently received funding thanks to my colleague, Professor Emma Tsakutsi, who was the lead PI in that project. And we were able to bring back the Bronx Community College One Book, One Read, which basically the entire community reads at once. And we read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, and the event has been a success so far. But going back to this presentation, for these 2 proposals, we argue our budget was impacted significantly. We lost, I believe it was really more than 25%. Our budget declined. There was a point where we could not purchase any books, physical books. We had reduced numbers of hours and access to resources, which is still the case. We have been revamping the services and the hours, but they have been, they're still reduced compared to pre-pandemic. At one point, we lost all of our staff. If I recall correctly, in June 30th of 2020, we lost all the part-time personnel in the library. And the grants, of course, we argue that they were our students are a population, students of color, community of color, low-income students who had never experienced an online course, right? And so it was very difficult for them to make this transition. It was a very difficult and trying time, which I'm sure is the case for many individuals here. Now, there were some key aspects for these 2 proposals, which led for them to be approved. One, we clearly demonstrated the significant needs of BCC's underserved student population and how the pandemic disproportionately impacted them. And we described how steep budget cuts reduced the library's capacity to adequately serve students during a challenging time. I mean, if the library is not open physically, then there is no space for students. Therefore, we had to bring the library to the students in a sense. And that is part of the point of these 2 projects. And also to boost morale. One of these 2 projects is an exhibit, a physical exhibit where we had, if I recall correctly, this was the library's first public event. And it was used to help to boost morale here. Now, for the virtual tour project, which I will get to, we proposed an innovative solution, right, which was an immersive virtual library tool that expands access to resources and supports equitable student success, whether in person or remote. Another point is, we included a budget, right? The justifications, etc. We outlined clear, measurable outcomes and an assessment plan. Right now, we're in the middle of one, and so we're still working with campus personnel and key people here on the campus to ensure that this project is a success. And again, the both projects align strongly with the goals of the ALA to help libraries impacted by the pandemic to continue supporting their communities. And these were points that we made sure to include in these winning proposals. Now, the first case study of the project is both a physical exhibit and a digital humanities project. We partnered, well, so I am a co-founder of Essendome, which stands for Esencia Dominicana, or Dominican Essence, and basically it is a website that documents the Dominican community, has been doing it since February 2009. And this project was the exhibit, Digital Humanities Project, was a collaboration between the founders of Essendome, collaborators and partners of Essendome, photographers, editors, activists, and Bronx Community College librarians. And the project outcome was to create a physical exhibit on a digital humanities project. And for us, the project actually received honorable mention by the archive section of the Latin American Studies Association, or LASA, for example. The budget, I mean, we basically created panels, website hosting was part of the cost, and we paid a graphic designer, provided a stipend to a graphic designer, and one of the artists lives in another country, and so we provided a stipend to them, for example. And of course, we used some of those funds to cover the cost of the reception that we had, which was this gathering of people that came to the opening reception. And I'll just, sorry, I apologize. And I'm just going to do a demonstration here, just show you what at least the website of this project, what it looks like. Okay, right here. I think you should be seeing the website. So this is the landing page of the Transnational Dominican Activism website. And again, the idea of this project was to create a website that documents the role of activism within the Dominican community, both in the Dominican Republic and New York City, where the people who work on Essendome predominantly live. And so, right, and so it covers the certain movements that Dominicans have been involved with or in which they have been a part of. And some of these include, for example, in Washington Heights or Upper Manhattan, there were people in 2020, right? This was across the United States during the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement protests, or George Floyd. George Floyd was lost his life, unfortunately, was murdered. And you see here a poster of him, an image of him, of a protester then. And you have different movements in the Dominican Republic and also here in the United States, for example, such as Ni Una Mas movement, a movement calling for against the femicide of or the killing and the mistreatment of women, right? Marcha de las Mariposas, which also brings attention to women's rights, reproductive rights, and so forth in the Dominican Republic and also throughout the world, actually, Latin America. And so for the individuals who did not see the physical exhibit, they also have the option to actually come here. So this is La Marcha del Millón, which is a movement on calling for or against political corruption in the Dominican Republic. And so Marcha Verde, the color is green, right? And so here you can actually look at the images. So this website, or this Digital Humanities Project, was created through them. And here are images from a photographer and activists who cover the event in the Dominican Republic. Again, all of this was originally published in Essendome, and we now created them and have them here. People can also view the exhibits via a PDF form, for example. So, for example, this is what these are the panels that were used for the exhibit. So on the website, we provide even more images, right? However, for the exhibit, the physical panels, because that is costly, I think it amounted to roughly $7,000 to print these roughly 17 panels. And so if you miss looking at the exhibit, the physical exhibit, you can actually view a PDF version of it, right? And over here, as you can see, every panel, we give credit to the National Endowment for the Humanities, the American Library Association, right? Bronx Community College, CUNY, and Essendome. So you have the logos there. And for each one, you see there's a heading, as you can see here, and there's a synopsis or a description of the events that was covered. And here, as you can see, this was in New York. This was a protest, a march that took place from Inwood, in Washington, Inwood, right? Then went to Washington Heights and went here all the way to the office of the Consulate General of the Dominican Republic here in Times Square, actually. So we walked from Upper Manhattan all the way to Midtown Manhattan. And again, here there's another movement related to Marcha Verde in Washington Heights, and there are images. Now, again, you can see the panels here, but there are more images within the website itself. Oh, I'm sorry. I think there's a message in the chat. Oh, thank you, Helena. Very kind of you. Gracias, Lina. Thank you. Yes, let me share. Excuse me, another. Oh boy, I think I lost this. Bear with me, please. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go back to and so basically, this is that presentation. So with those grant funds, we created this particular project, the Transnational Dominican Activism exhibit. And the idea is to provide people with a glimpse into, and we also have videos in this project as well of people that we have interviewed among the activists, the people who have participated in these types of marches, whether in the cities of Santiago or Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, or here in New York City. I apologize that I did not go further into depth with regard to this project, but you can view it online. Another case study is the Bronx Community College virtual tour project. And the purpose of this project is to bring the library to students. As we all know, now we have more students who are taking courses online. However, this project is also for students who come to the campus as well, not just individuals, not just students who are fully online, for example. So for instance, as we all know, I think there are few libraries that are open 24/7, and typically they're not fully staffed. Therefore, it is 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, technically Sunday morning, I guess, early Sunday morning. A student can actually go into this particular tool and learn about the library's resources there. For instance, again, the main project goes to acquaint students with library resources through an immersive 360-degree virtual tour. And again, the project outcomes are to create a virtual tour, video tutorials, PowerPoint tutorials explaining the library's resources, but also allowing students to see what a group study room looks like, etc. For this project, I budgeted for cameras that I had no idea how to use. So I learned how to use them, and software that I also had to learn on the go how to use them. But I watched several YouTube video tutorials, and I learned how. I have not yet mastered them, but I learned how to at least use them and record the footage and take photos. The Canon T70 camera, for example, is Netflix approved. So we can record movies, and Netflix would actually, if it goes to the right process, Well, actually, you can view them on Netflix. Um, and also purchased the InstaPro 2 camera, which allowed for the 360-degree angle or shooting of those images or videos. And I also purchased 3D Vista Pro. And I used other software, Adobe Premiere Pro. We are affiliated with CUNY, so we have that already in our arsenal. I had a very nice problem come up, which was that I had money still, so they allowed me to purchase it. So I bought a drone, which of course I had to then write back to the folks at the grants office here on my campus, the research foundation, and also the representative from the American Library Association to allow me to make this additional purchase, given that we received such a huge discount. I had this money, so that was great. And let's just go and provide you with a quick overview of the BCC Library Virtual Tour Project. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go, starting location. So this is the idea. And the purpose of this project, it has multiple purposes. Again, to acquaint our students with this virtual tour of the BCC Library. There I am. I tried to avoid, I do not appear in any other video, but because we are outside and I needed to, there I'm holding the control to take the pictures to record this. But as you can see, you can see the entire college campus here. And the purpose is to acquaint our students with the resources available to them at the library and also see what those resources look like and what they entail. Fortunately for me, it was a beautiful, beautiful summer day last year when I did this. And when you click, there are different icons. We call them icons. The project is not yet finished because there are other things that need to be done, but there is a preview available. For example, if you click on this eye, it provides you with text. In this case, that's the name of that particular building, which actually this campus used to belong to New York University. So on this building, Gould Memorial Hall, you will see NYU inscription. Sorry, let me get up my lights in my room. Okay. And if you click on these arrows, it allows you to move forward or backward. Here you move forward. And I try to make it fun for the students or whomever views this. So for example, this is the North Hall and Library building. If you click on this icon, it provides you with the name. And the following text, the North Hall and Library building has multiple entrances. However, the entrance you see in this tutorial is the building's main entrance, which is true. Here we come across two more icons. This icon lets the user know that there is a question here. What is this? Let's click on it. Oh, in what building is the Bronx Community College Library located? Northorne Library building. Okay, look at that. And so this is sort of like a game as well. If you click on this icon, you can actually enter one room to the other. We have these beautiful cows all across our campus as well. And again, you can just click on different items here. I wonder what this says. The Bronx Community College Library is equipped with multiple LCD screens. And please be sure to read the information displayed on these screens as they contain crucial information, including the BCC Library's hours, special programming, and other important information. And so you can actually just keep clicking. You can also go to other sections. You can jump to other parts. But so this is what the first floor of the entrance of the BCC Library looks like. And so, again, this is a very immersive tool. We have an elevator here, which at that point was not working, but it is working today. So, oh, and this is a replica of, I believe, of the campus right here. Okay. But anyways, let's go here. In this card, we actually post books for students for them to take, right? You can enter the library. Again, I hope no one gets dizzy. Fortunately for me, it was a very sunny day and there was no one here. We came on to do this on a day where there was nobody present. So If you can see here, we have introduced to new icons. This is actually a PDF version of the Dominican activism exhibit that students can actually click on, and they can view it here. This is actually the library's exhibit space, which is why it was posted there. And you can actually scroll down and take a look at the exhibit. And we also we recorded the opening of the events, and if you click here, you can actually watch the video of it. But we do not have time to watch the full video right now. And there are other video tutorials here as well.
In this video, we want to talk about how to borrow a laptop at the BCC library. What do you need? First thing you need to do is to go to the library technology service desk.
And so there are different types of tutorials available to students, letting them know. So you can borrow a laptop, you can borrow, and we have them available in text, write this tutorial. And we also have them available in a video to demonstrate and show to the students what we have available for them. If you need an iPad, you can also come here to the Bronx Community College Technology Services Desk, and you can borrow an iPad. And so as you can see, these are PowerPoint tutorials, and these are video tutorials that actually demonstrate the item to the students or the user. This is what our library classroom looks like. At BCC, we have the OWL system, so we can do high flex, or we can have an audience, in-person audience, and we can also broadcast to people virtually. So that's what the high flex system is here at Bronx Community College. And again, we have different types of tutorials. These are student-centered, and I'll just wait.
Hello, my name is Ava, and I am a librarian at Bronx Community College. In this video, I will demonstrate how to use the library's OneSearch feature to locate a specific book and search for an article when starting research on a topic. OneSearch is CUNY's discovery tool where you can search the catalog for everything that the library has, including articles, books, and journals.
And again, right, so we have tutorials specifically to help students with their research needs. And we also have, again, videos. This is the Bronx Community College Library Classroom. Here is where a lot of the magic happens. Now, you may be a student who is physically on campus. If so, one of your professors might actually bring you to a library. And so that explains to the students why, why we have the classroom. Now, these tutorials are geared toward members of the faculty, for example. And so we'll play this.
Interested in learning about open educational resources? Welcome to this introduction that will give viewers basic knowledge of OERs. This presentation will cover the following. What is OER? What constitutes OERs? What are some benefits of OER? Equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility in OER. Open educational resources, also referred to.
And I mean, there are just so many sources out there available to people, to the members of our community. And again, if you do not want to navigate, you can navigate. Let's go here and look at, pardon me, let's go this way. For instance, here we have a study room, group study room, right? And there's a video explaining the purpose of this room. And here is a tutorial, PowerPoint tutorial explaining the purpose of this room, right? Which is equipped with a whiteboard. We have a window here. We have chairs. We have a table for students and so forth. This is our reference desk, and so you click on, and so here, as you can see, we have different types of questions based on the tutorials that students should have clicked on by now, right? And so this is circulation desk, the archives. At BCC, we have the law classroom, Thurgood Marshall room, actually. And so
Welcome to the Law Classroom, home of the Thurgood Marshall Law Collection, and located on the 3rd floor of the North Hall Library building. This collection and room supports the course needs of BCC's Paralegal Studies program. With its large tables, audio-visual computers.
okay, I apologize. Okay. Okay. And yes, and so this is the law collection, etc. We have, I mean, there's a tutorial explaining the oversized collection and where it is located. We have book exhibits. This is the India corner, for example. And I'm just going to stop it there and just go back to the PowerPoint. Going to let's see, give me just 1 second, just so that I can make this switch. Here you are. Current slide. And these projects, of course, if you're a grant writer, you submit any grants, there will always be challenges. That is something to keep in mind. For these grants, we conducted research, right? We needed to know our student body, our student population. We needed to know, I input, for example, the amount by which our library, the actual number amount of our budget cuts, and so forth. The process can be time consuming, to be honest with you. It requires, again, the gathering and synthesis of information from various sources. There is a major learning curve, how to use software and technology. Fortunately for me, I said I want to do this, and I learned how to create these. I taught myself. I'm self-taught. I taught myself how to edit videos on Adobe Premiere Pro, how to edit videos on iMovie, both excellent tools. In fact, I will be using, I'll be using one of the two to edit the videos from this, from the LACUNY Institute conference. And the 3D Vista software, it's a very challenging software. Collaboration is necessary. We were able to bring different people from the library to work on this project. We're talking about from librarians to CLT, college laboratory technicians, college assistants, CUNY office assistants, providing input and being part of this project. And even a public safety officer from the college. He and I were here that day to do most of the filming, and he actually shot a video using the drone. He has the drone. It's interesting because I purchased a drone and the college also purchased a drone, but we had no idea that we had purchased the same drone. So that's how I found out about it. The funds, when you are part of an institution like this, you are at the whim of your grants office and also the Research Foundation of CUNY. For example, there were many hiccups. I budgeted to fund this project for the hosting for 4 years. However, Research Foundation told me that I can only use it until the end of the grant for I only had a few months, which is why, since I had that extra money, I used it to purchase the drone. When you work on grants, especially when it comes to hosting websites, it's important to be in communication with the people that work in these grant offices. Sometimes people do not know the rules or are unaware. This is a very unique project, as you can see. And there were things that I was just unaware of. And so right now I'm trying to seek funding to host this project. And I submitted proposals, even though I had already secured funding for it, for the hosting, because of the rules in place by the people who manage the grant. I now have to write another grant to make the hosting possible, and it will cost several $1,000s. Again, when writing a grant, you need to adhere to the grant guidelines and allowable expenses. You need to read it carefully. A lot of grants, some grants get rejected because you just cannot simply pay for those services. Multiple parts, and always be able to anticipate any setbacks, and there have been setbacks with these particular projects, but I've had fun with these projects, to be quite honest. I've enjoyed them, and we have an amazing team here at BCC as well. So,
Okay.
any
Thank you all for attending Nelson's session. If there aren't any more questions, we just would like to thank you for attending the Institute for day 2 and Nelson's session.